Hi everyone, 2015 is just a few days old and today's episode of News Generation is the final part of our wrap-up of 2014. Stay with us. You can find us online at facebook.com/newsgenerationgh and on Twitter at newsgengh. Well, continuing our wrap-up of the year 2014, we featured a story which caught a lot of people's attention. Last July, Shey Adam and Efwa Akwa Harrison Owusu spent an afternoon with 13-year-old Nasir on the streets of the capital, where hundreds of children struggle to make a living of their own.
13-year-old Abdel Nasser begs to make a living. He's here the whole day. We speak to him, the camera a distance away, and he tells his story. Nasser is from Niger, but has lived in Ghana almost all his life. We find out he was only 2 when he was brought to Accra by his brother, who, according to Nasser, is visually impaired. His brother, who we couldn't meet, also survives through begging. In fact, that's how Nasser got his wheelchair. The days are long. This is now Nasser's territory, and he does everything he has to do here. So what has kept Nasser in this wheelchair since infancy?
I was injected when I was very young back in Niger, and it paralyzed my legs.
He tells us he wishes to go to school after we ask him, but after trying to find out about a possible future career, even if he is sponsored, and all we get is a smile. After all, he's only known a life of begging. Nasser claims his father, who still lives in Niger, also begs. His mother does odd jobs. It may look like Nasser is on the streets alone, but he is not. 17-year-old Abdullahi, who says he is from Nigeria, brings Nasser here every morning. Abdullahi pushes Nasser from Zongo, a suburb of Accra downtown, here to beg. He says he is here visiting his brother, who sells meat in town and has been in Accra for 3 months. Abdullah's dream is to study the Holy Quran to the highest level in order to propagate his religion, Islam.
I have already made my mind to study the Holy Quran. So when I finish without a job, I will also teach others.
Abdullahi says formal education was not for him, and so he dropped out. He therefore insists in pursuing this dream even if he is offered assistance to do something else in future. It's the end of another successful working day for Abdullahi and Nasser. They now meet up with another group, and this is where our inquiry into their lives come to an end. The obviously more mature group are unhappy with our presence. Abdullahi and Nasser have now decided they don't want us following them home as originally intended, so we leave them to go off to Zongo, where they live, to return again tomorrow.
So what is the latest about Nasir? Since we met him in July last year, Shey Adam went to look for him out on the streets.
So we met Nasir here with his colleagues begging. But today, in January 2015, the story is different. We cannot find Nasir. Perhaps he has stopped begging along the street. It's only his friends who are here selling.
In November 2014, we told another story that made a strong impact and changed the life of a family. We met a teenager, Florence Jeche, whose family's survival rested on her shoulders.
It's a new dawn at Lakpa in the eastern region. adults prepare for work. This is Florence. She's 16. She's also getting ready for work. Hard as it may seem, it's a mission for survival. All of Florence's family depend on her.
We came to live with my grandmother when we lost our mother. My grandmother is old and can't provide my needs unless I go to the farm at dawn. I sell the cassava I get when I return. I then give some of the money I make to my grandmother and my siblings to buy food.
Florence is orphaned. She moved to this village with her siblings after the death of her parents. Her grandmother, who is 70, is frail.
If this child doesn't go to the farm to work, we won't eat. I ask her to follow people to their farms to help out for us to get money for our upkeep.
The job of breadwinner automatically fell on Florence. She was 12 when she took up this role. If she doesn't work, the family will be forced to beg.
The job is difficult. It's tough sometimes. Uprooting the cassava, it's not easy. I feel pains in my waist and legs all the time. But if I don't go to the farm, my family will starve.
Providing for a family is not an easy task, even for an adult. But this young girl keeps it up with an inspiration.
I love my family. That's why I get up at dawn and go to the farm.
Despite all the work she does in a day, Florence makes time for school. She is determined not to allow her circumstances take away her dreams.
I will study hard. I want to become a soldier in future. I want to take my family to the city someday, and I want to see my children grow up to become doctors, teachers, nurses in future.
The good news is a pastor in Switzerland, James Otre, was so touched by Florence's story that he decided to step in and support them. Now, Florence does not need to go to the farm to take care of her family as the breadwinner. News Generation will catch up with Florence this year to give you an update about all that is happening. Now moving on to our local news round. 2014 will go down as the year the nation witnessed so many demonstrations and protests. There was a frustrating fuel shortage, and the Black Stars coach Kwesi Appiah was sacked after a dismal showing at the World Cup.
Hello everyone, welcome to Focus on Africa from BBC World News. My name is Komla Dumont.
2014 began on a very sad note when Ghanaian and BBC broadcaster Komla Dumont passed away in London. His death shocked many in Ghana and across the world. Daughter of Nelson Mandela, Makaziwe Mandela, described Komla as a shining star. Komla was to be the face for the BBC coverage for the 2014 World Cup.
God, give them wisdom. Amen. The utility companies.
2014 will go down as the year the nation witnessed so many demonstrations and protests. One group which made its presence felt was the Occupy Flagstaff House movement, which defied a heavy downpour and security to protest economic conditions. It was not the largest protest ever organized, but the message was clear. In 2014, News Generation told the story of a young boy who for more than 3 years wandered around the streets of Kaswa without any hope of going to school. But now, he has been happily enrolled in school and has the desire of becoming someone important in the future. Paul Abedu's story shows it is good to never give up on your dreams. We also featured a very special grown-up who is dedicated to helping young people in his community to get access to education. Despite his disability, 45-year-old Emmanuel Nikwe has established a school at Jamestown for children whose parents are mostly fishermen and fishmongers. The children at his school do not pay school fees, but a daily feeding fee of 2 cedis. Emmanuel Nikwe is happy to do something to help educate children in the community. In April, there was a fuel crisis, and many drivers were frustrated with not getting fuel for their cars. There were long winding queues at filling stations, with some drivers even sleeping overnight just to get a few liters. Some drivers accused stations of hoarding to get a higher price, but the shortage was apparently caused by government's failure to pay bulk oil distribution companies. National team coach Kwesi Appiah was sacked by the Ghana Football Association after the Black Stars' poor performance at Brazil 2014 World Cup, which generated a lot of controversy. Many felt he was given a raw deal, but others also believe he had not been able to control the team despite qualifying the squad for the World Cup. Ending the year, Kwesi Appiah was appointed coach of Sudanese club Al Khartoum.
You're watching News Generation. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. Remember, you can find us online at facebook.com/News Generation Ghana and on Twitter at NewsGenGH. 2014 was a very eventful year for Ghana. Young people spoke to News Generation about the past year, which for some of them was full of fond memories and disappointments.
All too soon, we've said bye-bye to 2014, and you can all agree with me that 2014 was not very smooth for Ghanaians, with a number of strikes, demonstrations, power outages. I have some young people here with me, and we're going to discuss about the things they remember 2014 for. So what do you remember 2014 for?
Okay, in 2014, we got to know that most of the promises our president made to us were not fulfilled. So we pray for 2015, he's going to fulfill most of the promises.
The strike action that went on also distracted our education system. So we hope that next year there will be no strikes and we'll be able to continue our education smoothly.
In 2014, the Ghana Black Stars didn't perform well at the World Cup. So we hope that this year they'll perform well at the AFCON, which is the African Cup of Nations.
Back in school, there was power outages, so we were not able to learn much.
In 2014, there were mass strikes which delayed us in taking through our syllabus, but we hope that in 2015 there will be no strikes. And that will help us perform well in the West African Education Certificate exam.
What are your expectations from government this year?
We hope that there are no more dumso in 2015.
And we also pray that the education system in Ghana will be improved.
We also hope that this year the Black Stars perform well at the AFCON, and the government should support them on that.
We hope that this year the government will pay the teachers so that they won't go on strikes. Yeah.
I also hope that this year all our promises from the government will be fulfilled, and we're going to live a better Ghana as promised.
We cannot do a wrap-up of stories we did without asking you what you thought about News Generation during 2014. We had some interesting answers.
Last time I watched News Generation was very interesting and educative, but I like all the segments and I don't want anything to be changed on it. I think it's cool.
Interesting, educative, and tells us what happens in the world about children.
News Generation is very educative and it's also very interesting at the same time. Yeah. And I learn a lot.
Yeah, I've been watching it. It's a very nice program. And yeah, I want them to extend the time and add more interesting things to it.
It's cool. It's okay. The program is very nice, so it's okay.
Oh, it's an interesting program. I like it. I don't really watch it, but it's cool. I just want you guys to change some few stuff because you're in a new year, you see. You can go to schools, interview people. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to do like that.
Well, I think more programs should be added, and then that will extend the time. So we spend more time watching News Generation.
Well, they should make the teenagers host the program like they do. Yeah, many of the teenagers.
This modern world, you see people, even young kids, they claim they're old, so you can take it back a bit, like maybe from 8 years to, yeah.
Oh, I think you guys should extend the time, and then you should add maybe teenager stuffs, and I think it's okay. In general, the program is okay.
In 2014, Malala Yousafzai became the youngest person to win the Nobel Peace Prize. Malala shared the iconic prize with a 60-year-old who fought for the rights of child laborers. We bring you a timeline of one of the world's famous teenagers.
I'm proud, but in fact I'm very proud to be the first Pashtun, the first Pakistani, and the youngest person to receive this award. I'm pretty certain that I'm also the first recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize who still fights with her younger brothers. I want there to be peace everywhere, but my brothers and I are still working on that.
In a matter of 2 years, teenager Malala's life has both changed and inspired many young people across the world. She's shown exceptional strength and courage in the face of danger. The journey started sometime in 2009 when the BBC Urdu service published Malala's account of girls' struggle for education. The Taliban controlled Malala's Swat Valley district at the time and destroyed many girls' schools. The Taliban was simply cold-hearted towards girls' education, and that worried Malala. Malala's campaign for girls' education spiraled in October 2012 when she was shot in the head. Of course, you perhaps know the story of her journey for treatment to the United Kingdom and the fact that she now lives in schools in Birmingham. But that hasn't stopped her. She keeps going. She keeps campaigning for girls' rights, and the recognition of her courage and resilience has followed. In 2009, she was the subject of a documentary film. In 2011, she was nominated for the International Children's Peace Prize. In 2012, the Pakistani government awarded her the National Peace Award, which was subsequently renamed the National Malala Peace Prize for those under 18 years. Malala was named one of Time magazine's most influential people in 2013, won the European Parliament Sakharov Prize for Freedom of Thought, was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize in 2013. Her autobiography, I Am Malala, was released in 2013. She co-founded the Malala Fund, focused on helping girls to go to school and raise their voices for the right to education.
Why is it that countries which we call strong are so powerful in creating wars but are so weak in bringing peace? Why is it that giving guns is so easy but giving books is so hard? Why is it? Why is it that making tanks is so easy but building schools is so hard? We are living in the modern age. and we believe that nothing is impossible. We have reached the moon 45 years ago, and maybe we'll soon land on Mars. Then, in this 21st century, we must be able to give every child quality education.
She's met with several global leaders, including President Obama, spoken at the United Nations. And now she's a co-recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize. Some of you think the world's most famous teenager, whose life has been unusual in many ways, isn't done just yet.
Inspires me as a young person because she was really determined in changing the world for better for other children, because some of them are deprived of such things, to like go to school, be educated and become someone really important in future.
She has inspired people, especially children and the youth, to improve upon their talents and to achieve more than expected.
She has inspired people to go to school and have education, because education is the key and can take you higher.
One child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world.
And so many other things trended around the world and in Ghana. There were a lot of interesting ideas for charity and to make others happy. Then there was the animated movie Frozen, which became the highest earning animated film in history. Let it go, let it go.
Okay, this is Homer Simpson, and I challenge Flanders, Lenny, and Flanders again to do the Ice Bucket Challenge. Oh, and why not? Donald Trump. Oh boy, oh, that was cold.
The ALS Ice Bucket Challenge went from a fundraising campaign to a viral internet sensation, raising $100 million for the ALS Association to research the ALS disease. The campaign drew in celebrities from Oprah, LeBron James to Bill Gates, and former U.S. President George Bush.
That check is for me. I don't want to ruin my hairstyle.
The ALS Ice Bucket Challenge inspired people to come out with their own versions to address issues affecting their country. One such place was India, where a rice bucket challenge was launched. The rice bucket challenge involved donating a bucket of rice to a poor person or a family. The charitable initiative was tailored to meet the country's specific need of feeding the poor. The challenge grew from 7,000 likes on Facebook in a day to being tweeted 11,000 times in a month. A dad in the United Kingdom had a quiet birthday surprise for his Spider-Man loving son. The boy, Jaden, just turned 5, but it's not exactly a joyous celebration, as doctors have given him only a year to live due to a brain tumor.
Hey, is that Jaden? Are you Jaden? Man, it's good to see you, buddy. How are you? That's so cool, man. How are you? Good? Having a good birthday? Man, how old are you?
His dad's celebration surprise touched social media users and racked 1 million views.
That's cool, man. Whoa.
Summer in the city of Arendelle. It couldn't be warmer. It couldn't be sunnier. But that's about to change.
And to the biggest news of 2014 for fans of animated movies, Disney's Frozen became the highest earning animated film in history. Frozen earned more than Toy Story 3, The Lion King, and Despicable Me 3. According to a website that looks into film earnings, Frozen has overtaken the previous highest earning film, Toy Story 3, earning $1.2 billion worldwide. Frozen stayed in the top 10 film chart in the US and Canada for more than 3 months and now is the 5th biggest earning film in history. The film also won 2 Oscars for the Best Animated Feature and Best Original Song.
In our international news round for 2014, more than 230 girls were abducted in Nigeria. In Burkina Faso, citizens hit the streets of Ouagadougou, which led to the resignation of the president. And Sudan became the topic of discussion when a pregnant woman, Mariam Yahya Ibrahim, was sentenced to die for abandoning her religious faith.
In April 2014, more than 230 schoolgirls were abducted in Nigeria. The girls were taken from their school by Islamic militant group Boko Haram when they were writing exams in the northeastern town of Chibok. Not even protests in Nigeria and across the world, together with a popular hashtag, "Bring Back Our Girls," were enough to get the girls released. So 2014 ended without the release of the schoolgirls. In Burkina Faso, citizens hit the streets of Ouagadougou to protest plans by the president, Blaise Compaoré, to extend presidential terms. The street protests resulted in Compaoré resigning after 27 years and leaving the country. Blaise Compaoré came to power in a coup in 1987. Sudan became the topic of discussion when a pregnant woman, Mariam Yahya Ibrahim, was sentenced to die for abandoning her religious faith. Mariam Ibrahim, who married a Christian man, refused to renounce Christianity. Born to a Muslim father, she was convicted under the Islamic law of Sharia. The fear of the spread of Ebola caused Morocco to back out of hosting the African Cup of Nations in 2015. For a while, there was a lot of speculations as to who would host the tournament, or if CAF would have to postpone the event. Equatorial Guinea stepped up to host the Cup of Nations, which kicks off in January 2015. Despite the uncertainties, qualification matches went on as planned. Also in 2014, South African Paralympic athlete Oscar Pistorius was found guilty of culpable homicide in the death of his girlfriend River Steenkamp. Judge Thokozile Masipa gave Pistorius a 5-year jail sentence. Prosecutors had called for a minimum 10 years, and the defense had argued for community service and house arrest.
This has been the final part of our wrap-up of 2014. You can find us online at News Generation GH on Facebook and on Twitter at NewsGenGH. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.